Good afternoon, dear friends and colleagues in the Philippines, in Manila. Kumusta ka? Good afternoon, dear colleagues in other parts of the Pacific. Good morning, dear friends and colleagues who are joining us from Europe and Africa. And good night, all of you who are joining from the Americas. My name is Andrés del Castillo. I am from Mexico. But today I'm joining this international conference from Mozambique in the eastern coast of Africa, where I am living and working. Before I start, I want to thank our colleagues from the Asian Center, from the University of the Philippines, and everybody who made possible this international conference in this very important commemoration of the 500 years of the Philippines. I'm very honored to be part of this international conference in a very special date. I'm going to start my presentation today, sharing my screen. Okay. My presentation today is about the Danes in the Manila trade from the 17th to the 19th century. We know that Denmark arrived little late in the Asia trade and played apparently a discrete role in the Manila trade. It's almost forgotten and is mostly ignored by the researchers that are mostly focused on the silver from the galleon trade, the Dutch, the British, etc. However, the role of Denmark has been little neglected in the studies. Danes played an important role in the trade route between India and Manila and in the dissemination of the Indian textiles and cotton products in Manila, that finally they ended even reaching remote areas like places in Mexico and in the Americas, across the Pacific through the Manila galleon. The Mexican silver also was a very important product that it was attracting the Danes into Manila for this trade, and the Mexican silver also reached Asia and at the end, Europe. The Danes also took Asian products to Scandinavia and the Baltic, and with great profit. And this profit assisted the development of very interesting cultural hubs in India, in Truncavar, in Serangor, that also helped to develop the national identity of some of the ethnical groups, the Tamils, the Bengals, in the eastern coast of India. I'm going to start today presenting how the Danes reach India, especially they reach to the Coromandel Coast. Coromandel Coast is this certain part of India, what today is the state of Tamil Nadu, south of Chennai, of Madras is the old colonial name of the city. And all this area is famous for the production of cotton and fabrics. They were for different qualities. They were produced here from ancient times that they were also traded with the north, even to Central Asia, other parts of across the Bay of Bengal to Southeast Asia, etc. When the Europeans arrived to this part, they noticed that apart from the spices that they were looking for in the Moluccas Islands, in what today is Indonesia, they noticed that this product, that is the cotton and the textile from Coromandel, could be a very important product in the trade. Even the Dutch governor in Batavia, as early as 1612, they noticed Coromandel is the western arm of the Moluccas. Without the textiles of Coromandel, the spice trade with the Moluccas is dead. So they noticed that it was quite important, the trade between the Moluccas, Indonesia, the islands that today are Indonesia, and Coromandel, and the exchange with the textiles and products from this part. Denmark arrived in the region at the beginning of the 17th century, when the first fleets left Copenhagen, trying to join the trade in the Asian trade. Denmark was coming from a very difficult moment when there were a lot of wars that they were affecting their economy, and there were fights with Sweden, with Germany, etc. So they start sailing in direction to Asia across the Cape of the Good Hope in Africa, and they reach this area of India. And the very first point they reach is Truncavar in Coromandel Coast, in south of what is Chennai today. Later on, they were creating different settlements around the coast and different factories in Calicut, in even up to the Bengal Bay, etc. But the most important were Tranquebar and Serampore. Serampore, close what today is Kolkata, and Tranquebar, close what today is Chennai. Tranquebar was the first Danish trading post in India, and there was a King Christian IV from Denmark sent his envoy to establish contact with the King of Tanjore, and they made a deal and to pay an annual tribute to allow the Danish to establish in Tranquebar. Here is what the first point in India where the Protestant missionaries enter into the South Indian, to the Indian continent, and also in the first place where for example, the Bible was translated in the local Tamil, and they were establishing printing press, etc. Tranquebar remained a Danish colony until it was sold to the British East Company in 1845. Here we can see an idea how Tranquebar was in this period. In 1658, it was a very multicultural town where there were Armenians, free Portuguese. The Portuguese who were running out from the Portuguese colonies or were mixed blood. There were people, other nationalities, even Jewish, Greeks, who were living in these enclaves. In Tranquebar also, the Danish built the Fort Dansborg. It was started constructed in 1620. It's quite interesting. We can see here in the photo. It's the second largest Danish fort ever constructed. Even the biggest one is in Denmark, Elsinore, the very famous one, that famous because was quoted by Shakespeare in the romance or in the novel Hamlet. Is the largest Danish fort. Is located in Denmark, but the second Danish fort by size in the world is in India, in Tranquebar. The British and the French, they saw how the Danish were so successful in this trade that they followed them, and in the East India Company, they established them in Madras, the Fort St. George, to compete with Tranquebar in 1639. Later on, the French also, they joined and they established very close to Tranquebar, also in the Coromandel Coast, Pondicherry. So we can see in Coromandel Coast, we have a British enclave in what is Madras today, Chennai, the French in Pondicherry, also in the Coromandel Coast, and the Danish in Tranquebar. The Dutch and the Free Portuguese, they established their enclave in Pulicat, north of Chennai, in Palacat, and it was a very important also trading port for the fabrics. Later on, the Danish, they went north to the Bay of Bengal, and they established in close to what today is Kolkata, a Danish factory in the river, next to the Ganga River. They established Serampore, that it was the second largest enclave, Danish enclave. Even today, we can see in the photo here is the university created by the Danish in Serampore. Serampore remained Danish from 1755 to 1845. The trade was organized through the Asiatic companies. There were three Danish Asian companies. First was the Danish East India Company that is lasted from 1616 and 1650. And there was all the monopoly trade between Denmark and Norway in this moment, they were all together. And they were the ones who were funding the first expeditions in Asia. Second Danish East India Company was from 1670 to 1732, and they were really established a very large control of the Coromandel Coast from Truncavar, and they were established a series of commercial outposts. Finally, we have the Danish Asiatic Company from 1732 to 1772. They were integrated a monopoly of the Danish trade in Asia. Later on, the government from 1772, the Danish government took over the monopoly of the trade in Asia. This, the third company, the Danish Asiatic Company, it was so big that it was having up to 42 vessels in Asia, trading in all the Pacific, Southeast Asia, and the Indian Ocean. Here we can see a painting from 17th century, where we can see the Danish Asiatic Company headquarters in Copenhagen, and the boats and the ships that they were reaching the Copenhagen with all the products from Asia. I'm showing here, for example, how developed they were at this moment. They were even drafting instruction to the crew and the sailors who were going to Asia to guarantee the safe return to Denmark. Here, for this instruction, is from 1752. It's located in the Danish Maritime Museum in Elsinore. The Danes, they soon located the source of the silver as a very important product for exchange. And they start going to Manila, trying to exchange their fabrics for Coromandel Coast with the silver that was coming from the Americas, from Mexico mostly. They were exchanging fabrics from Palacate, they were the Madras handkerchiefs, etc. And they were also exchanging silver and spices. The Danes were able to make exorbitant profits from the trading products in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, and they were also taking everything to the Baltic and Scandinavia. Here we can see in this 17th century map, we can see where Coromandel Coast and Tranquebar is located, where Manila is located, and how they were trading along this coast. As early as 1645, there was a treaty between Spain and Denmark that they were allowing trade freely between all the Spanish territories and the Danish territories. The subjects of both crowns, they were treated as natives of each country as regards of trade, and enjoyed freedom of exercise their respective religion. We need to remember that the religion in Denmark, they were Protestant, they were Lutherans, and the Spanish, they were Catholics, of course. Here we can see the document of the copy of the treaty of 1645. It's in the Archivo Histórico Nacional in Madrid. I'm also presenting here, for example, one example of one of the governors of the Philippines, the Don Fray Juan Arrechederra, Obispo de Nueva Segovia, where were giving instructions to allow the Danish ships to enter in the Filipino ports and trade all the commodities from the Coromandel Coast. Y pidiendo obedecer la Real Orden de 1742 sobre que los puertos de aquellas islas se admitiese al comercio de las embarcaciones de la factoría que en la costa de Coromandel tiene el rey de Dinamarca, y se diera abrigo a los puertos de aquellas islas a los navíos mercantes de la nación dinamarquesa que hacían el comercio de Tranquebar y la costa de Coromandel. This document is en Archivo General de Indias, ramo Filipinas. But it's quite interesting that not all these Danish boats were really Danish boats. They were, in most of the cases, they were overloopers, interloopers. I mean, they were intermediaries. Not always they were Danish, but they were ships under Danish flags. They were English sailors and traders, free Portuguese, even Romanians, but they were using the Danish flag to have the free trade in the Philippines. The Danish neutrality supported the free trade, and they were using the flag of convenience, bandera de conveniencia, pavilião de conveniência in Portuguese, to allow the trade with the Philippines. The trade with the Danish ships was so important at the end of the 18th century that we found the peak of the trade in 1789, where there were 20% of the ships entering the port of Manila came from Tranquebar and Coromandel Coast, but mostly overloopers, these intermediaries. Just to have an idea, from 1798 to 1801, Danish ships topped the list of visits of the port of Manila with 25, followed by 16 Portuguese, 12 American, Swedish, etc. This data is all located in Archivo General de Indias in Seville, in Spain. I'm showing here, for example, a document where they are requesting to allow also the intermediaries from Coromandel Coast. In this particular letter that I'm showing you, they are asking to allow the Romanians to travel with the Philippines in 1779, but those were mostly with ships under Danish flags. The impact of the Danish presence in India was quite strong, especially because of the success of the trade. The arrival of large quantities of profit on silver from the Manila trade allowed the Danish to establish a quite interesting cultural hubs in Truncavar and Sarangor. And we can see that they did the translation of the Bible as soon as 1711, but also in 1799, they established the first printing press in Sanskrit and Bengali. The Danish, they did it in Sarangor. They created the second oldest university in Denmark, Danish University, in 1819, after Copenhagen University. So the second Danish university is not in Denmark, in Europe, it's in Sarangor, in India. The first map printed in Indian map, printed in Bengali, was printed in 1924 in Sarangor. From 1801 to 1834, more than 212 books were printed in 47 Indian language, mostly in Bengali and Tamil. For example, the first publication of the Ramayana and Mahabharata in Bengali were printed in Sarangor. The first works printed of the work of Confucius in India were also printed in Sarangor, in the Danish University, first newspaper in Bengal, etc. They were using the botanical classification system of Linnaeus, Carlos Linneo from Sweden. They were using to classify the plants of Coromandel Coast. The study of the Danish trade has been neglected in the history of the Asian trade. The Danish establishment in India played a very important role in the textile production and cotton trade, in the Manila trade, and products that ended in Mexico and the Americas. Danish enclaves in Tranquebar, in Coromandel Coast, and Serampore in Bengal Bay play an important role in the linguistic and the study of literature and the grammar, mostly Tamil and Bengali, and mostly due to the profit of the Manila trade. Mexican silver entered into India. So I want to end it. Thank you you in Danish. Tak. Salamat po. Muchas gracias. And dere dane bad, dear friends. Thank you very much.